Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey to men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now on the journey, this pilgrimage to Chap Nirvana, where we will all be superbly well attired, there are quite often questions come up and I try and answer those questions to help people make decisions and choices about the things they're going to wear, maybe they're going to buy. And today I'm going to talk about a question which has come in from a gentleman called Nicholas. Now he says, I am fortunate to have occasion to go out in formal attire, black tie, from time to time. I wear plain Oxford shoes with toe cap, mirror shined, naturally. I often hear, however, that patent leather shoes are more correct for black tie wear. So may I ask, what do you think of patent leather shoes? Correct or not for black tie? The truth is, I don't really like patent leather. It just looks fake and plasticky to me, even though I know it is not. Moreover, apparently scuffs and scratches cannot be repaired on patent leather. I consider that a good pair of mirror-shined Oxford shoes look classier, as it shows a real attention to detail rather than having taken the easy route with patent leather. Okay, it's a really good question, and I've got some of my own patent leather shoes here on the table. I'll talk about them in a moment. But you're absolutely right, you know, patent leather has been around for quite some time. If we were to look back in the history of men's attire, there are recorded instances of patent leather going as far back as 1793, when a chap called Mr. Hand, who hailed from Birmingham in the United Kingdom, created a product which we would identify today as patent leather, which was essentially a leather which was coated in a form of lacquer, which allowed that leather to have a high shine, but also in its maintenance it had to be only wiped down with a sponge or cloth, which is the reason why it was quite favourable. And the reason why it's called patent leather, well, Mr. Hand obtained a patent for the leather which he had created, so to speak. Hence, from that point on, we now refer to it as patent leather. So in essence, it is a leather which has a coating over it, which gives this shiny look all the time, without any effort required from us as the wearer or owner of these shoes. Now, it would be fair to say that patent leather, within its popularity, kicked up a gear a little bit after its first sort of origins in 1793, because we know in 1818, patent leather crossed the Atlantic and it started to be produced, and I'll check this fellow's name, a chap called Seth Boyden, who hailed from New Jersey, and he improved the chemical formulation, or whatever you want to call it, that coating of lacquer over the leather, and made it a little bit better, and started mass producing patent leather footwear, boots, shoes, whatever, in New Jersey. And from that point on, it gained popularity, and for many good reasons. You know, as I've said, it has that shiny look, it requires no effort, and it's easy to maintain. Because one of the characteristics of patent leather is that it is impervious to water. So it doesn't allow the ingress of water through the leather as normal leather would. And as we say, it's very easy, just wipe it down with a cloth and you're good to go. So patent leather has been on a journey ever since the early 1800s, but in the modern era, maybe around the 1950s, 60s onwards, patent leather took upon the form that we tend to see it today. And that is, and to sort of, if I was to broadly describe what is patent leather, it is in essence a leather which has been coated in the modern world, a plastic or vinyl outer coating, so a veneer, which again is impervious to water and allows it to be easily cleaned down and gives it this perpetual shine, which never changes, right? You don't have to do any work to get the shiny impact of patent leather. It always looks the same. And as Nicholas says, because of the fact that it is covered in a plastic veneer, in essence, if it does get scratched, if it does have damage caused to it, it is not impossible in the way that if you had a mirror shine on your shoes to repair it, because in essence what's happened is that the leather has been cut or scratched, that veneer over the leather, and that can't be easily repaired or replaced. So what you say in your letter, Nicholas, is to some degree true. Now, patent leather is endearingly popular as a dress footwear because it's easy to care for. It tends to be somewhat cheaper than full grain leather, you know, the higher quality leathers that we will see, and it's almost impossible to replicate this all over shiny look of the shoe unless you have to spend hour after hour with polish and a cloth. So it does allow you to leap forward to a degree in the finish of the shoe without any work, and that shiny glossy appearance does, to many people, exude an air of luxury and class. So this is the reason why patent leather has been so popular for so many years. Okay, so let's talk about patent leather and its application in daily life, because it's fair to say you don't really see many people wearing patent leather around the streets. Although I have to admit, when I was a young man, I had a good friend who was a bit of a snappy dresser, and he owned a pair of red patent leather shoes which he used to wear with his suit, and it was a real showstopper. I mean, it really attracted comments from people. And as a younger man myself, you know, in the 90s, say, when I was into the nightclub scene, which was a little different to what it is today, but we used to dress up to go to nightclubs back then, I used to often wear a pair of black patent leather shoes with my, you know, my slacks and things like that, because in essence, they look really nice and I didn't have to do any work on them. So, you know, you can use patent leather outside of formal attire, but it is less common perhaps now than ever. But when you think of patent leather, you tend to think of formal attire. And, you know, in the modern era, black tie, you know, or tuxedo wear, this is where you will typically see your patent leather shoes. Now, I've got to be honest, I do like a black tie event. I go to any that I'm invited to. And when I look around with my sort of observer's eye at what the other gentlemen are wearing in my black tie or tuxedo events, you will be surprised how few people go to the effort of wearing patent leather shoes. Now, in this increasingly casual era, most men, if they're lucky, own one or two pairs of dress shoes because, you know, people favour casual footwear, sneakers of some kind. The dress shoe is on the sliding scale of importance in the average man's wardrobe today. So when they go to a black tie event, which might be a very rare occasion for most men, they're just going to wear whatever they've got in the wardrobe, which is black. And I've seen people wearing moccasins, you know, slip-on shoes, loafers, you name it, brogues, what one would consider to be inappropriate for a black tie event, but because they're black shoes, they get pressed into service. However, if you are an intentionally well-dressed man and you curate a little wardrobe of items that you know are going to be required for black tie events, you will be aware that there is a hierarchy of footwear which are typically worn for black tie or tuxedo events. So let's talk about those for a moment. Probably the most classic and what most people who are purists of the black tie state of attire would defer to would be the opera pump or the velvet slipper. All right, now these are, you know, typically actually patent leather opera pumps with a little bow on them, often made of silk, or the velvet slipper, indicating that your black tie event is, you know, a dining in set of clothing where you're going to be in a comfortable environment and you're wearing your black tie. So the shoes are not super formal, they're in fact quite casual, quite comfortable. Now, I have to tell you, I've been to many black tie events, particularly in London, where I used to go to quite a few, and I have never seen anybody wearing opera pumps. And I've been to some quite formal events, never seen them. So I often see them referred to as what you should wear to black tie events in particularly YouTube videos and, you know, people who prime you about what to wear. I've never seen them in practical application, even in London, one of the most dapper cities in the world. Only the very purist or the person who perhaps wears black tie for a profession is going to dress like that. You're not going to see it. Velvet slippers, yet again, they're falling into abeyance of use. You will rarely, if ever, see them in such a situation. So for the majority of people, the footwear of choice they're going to choose in a black tie situation is going to be the patent leather shoe. Now this is an example, classic example I have here. This is my British company called Chini, and it's what you would describe as an Oxford style patent leather shoe. Very simple. It has no embellishments upon it. It's got no cap toe, it's got no broguing. It's a simple sort of, plain fronted shoe. In fact, this is a leather soled one, but they come in all different types. It's a very inexpensive shoe, this one actually, even though it's from Chini. It's a cemented upper to the base, to the sole, and yeah, it's a pretty standard black tie appropriate patent leather shoe, and these are showing their age a bit now. I've had them for quite some time, so this will be what the majority of people would opt for. However, if you don't want to buy special shoes for your black tie occasions because they're so few and far between, and you own a pair of black cap toe Oxfords or a pair of black hole cut shoes, or simply a pair of shoes which have very limited embellishments, no broguing, nothing like that, simple classic shoe, there is nothing wrong with wearing those. But what I would suggest is bring them up to a mirror shine if you can, because for me, and as Nicholas said within his letter, a normal leather shoe, black leather shoe, which has been brought to a mirror shine is authentic, it's honest, it's not pretending to have a shine as one might say your patent leather is, which is replicating the look of a mirror shine. Actually, if you have a pair of shoes and you put a cracking mirror shine on them, they're going to look first class. They're going to look just as good as your patent leather shoes. So there is absolutely no need to worry about that at all. So some of the downsides to owning patent leather, as I've said, is it's not really true, it's not authentic, you're just replicating the look of real leather with a shine. And as this pair I have here, I've had them a long time. The patent leather, the veneer, the plastic or vinyl veneer, where the shoe has bent, where I walk, where the creases take place, the leather is starting, or the patent leather, the plastic veneer, is starting to flake away, it's breaking away. And to be honest, this pair of shoes is ready for the bin. I mean, they can't be repaired. They are made of, a cemented sole onto the patent leather upper. You can't get that look repaired. These shoes are no longer functionally usable for their intended purpose. I've got them out of the box, I haven't seen them for a long time, and to be honest, I wouldn't be wearing these to a black tie event again. They have had their life journey. I probably haven't worn them more than 25 times over the years. I did buy them on eBay, and I did pay probably about 20 quid for them, because I never pay full price for my shoes. I always go looking for the best possible deals. But in this instance, I don't think I'll be replacing these with another pair of patent leather shoes. It's not necessary. If you've got a pair of black cap toe Oxfords, get a mirror shine on there, it's going to look just as good. So don't get sort of drawn into this thing. You have to buy all of the accessories if you are invited to a black tie event. Wear what you've already got, as long as they're an Oxford style shoe really. Get a shine on there, it's gonna look just as good. So there we go. I hope that has thrown some light onto the patent leather shoe. And the other downside, if they are scratched, if they become blemished in some way, you can't just polish over them. It's a lifetime scratch which appears on the veneer, it's there for good. So not really the best investment. So if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, click the subscribe button. If you would like to pose me a question on style in any of its forms, drop me that question into the comment section, or you can email me. My email address is on the screen now. If you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee, or you could become a patron. And I share additional content with my patrons, with extra videos and lots of opportunities to engage over there on the patron pages. And you will find a link to all that in the show notes below. So, until the next time I see you, put your best foot forward, whether it is clad in patent leather or normal leather, but with a wonderful shine, and you're gonna look spot on. So, until then, take care, and I will see you again very soon.